Hello, I'm Victoria Hanson and I'm the author of First Principles, the Basics Cooking Handbook. Now, you're probably wondering why another cookbook. Well, let me explain. Firstly, this isn't another cookbook. This is in fact the second edition of a book that was produced in 2003, and I have been inundated with requests for a second edition or another print run, and so I thought it was about time that I did it. That's what this book is. For those of you who have a copy of First Principles, then you will see something slightly different, or a couple of things different. The cover has changed, we've made it a little bit more simple, and we've also ring bound the book, which makes it a lot easier to use when you're in the kitchen. Secondly, for those of you who are watching for the very first time, something that this book has as a characteristic is it has absolutely no images, and I've done that for a reason, because when you're learning to cook or you're making something for the very first time, you want to get it right and taste right before you get it looking right. And if what you make doesn't look anything like the image you're given, then often a lot of people won't attempt it a second time. So my goal is to get you to make recipes that taste fantastic, and once you master that, then you can learn how to plate it up, and you'll be able to do that by coming to the website, and we will have the skill and technique and the base recipe videos on the website starting from now, and they will build up on a week-by-week basis. Plus, on the YouTube channel, we are going to be putting compound recipes, well, I will be putting compound recipes rather, and you'll be able to look at how you can use the base recipes in the book to then create your own recipes. You can follow the ones that I do, but then you can become quite creative as well. So let's have a look at what the book has got to offer and how we've laid it out for our second time. If you're watching for the first time, then this will be new to you. Let's have a look at what there is inside. From the contents, you'll see just how comprehensive the information is. I've attempted to cover most of the fundamentals of food preparation and cooking, including preparing fresh produce such as fish and seafood, beef, lamb and pork, chicken, poultry and game, variety meats, and fruits and vegetables. Cooking pasta, noodles, rice and grains, eggs, stocks and soups. Making salsa pastes and pestos, preserves and cakes and biscuits. Making all the mother and derivative sauces. Making frostings, fillings and icings, and batters and doughs. And bases, toppings, coatings and stuffings. And not to forget pastry and measurement and cooking time charts. Well, the recipes and the preparation methods begin with cooking fresh produce, and we do that because they are the basis of most meals. And we start off by looking at the protein foods, which include things like meat, fish, poultry, eggs and game, and of course seafood. I don't know if I mentioned seafood in there, but as well, and of course fruits and vegetables. And then we look at all of the different ways that you'll prepare each of those different ingredients. So we'll look at the dry heat methods such as baking, roasting, frying, sauteing, and then we go into the moist heat methods, which is stewing, steaming, sweating, all of those types of things. And we cover each of the cooking methods for each of the different sorts of ingredients. So if you wanted to look up, for example, how to bake fish, then there is a base recipe there for how to bake fish. No matter what fish it is, it will cover it. You'll be able to use this base recipe for any type of fish that you're cooking. Now, I know that there are some specifics out there, and another recipe book might say you can only use this method to bake cod. Well, that's actually not true. You can use how to bake fish generally, and I give you baking times depending on the type of fish or the different sorts of cooking methods. So there's all sorts of tables in there as well. But let's have a look at some of the specific ones, and I want you to keep in mind that when you see a recipe, imagine that that recipe is replicated throughout the book for every other type of fresh produce. Let's have a look at them. To start with, I've created for you an essential pantry and essential equipment list. The essential pantry includes things like baking items through to herbs and spices, everything you'll need to keep in your pantry to enable you to make just about any fundamental recipe. The essential equipment is categorised and then divided into essential and optional items, depending on the type of cook you are. More advanced cooks, for example, might buy more elaborate utensils and appliances. Then there's an 11-page list of cooking terms and techniques, again the most regularly referred to in most recipes. You can use this as a reference for those you don't understand when you're making the recipes. Let me show you some examples. How to bake. How to braise. How to char grill. How to pan fry. How to poach, how to slow cook, and how to stir fry. Now, I mentioned earlier on that we also look at eggs and all of the different ways to prepare them. And let's face it, eggs are one of the most delicate and yet one of the most nutritious foods. So there are lots of different things that you can do to an egg to completely ruin it, basically. So I'm going to show you how not to do that. Let's have a look at what we can do with eggs.
Boiling, soft and hard cooked, poached, scrambled, fried and coddled. Types of omelettes such as soufflé omelette, and egg-based recipes such as crème anglaise and its derivatives such as crème brûlée, crème caramel and custard tart.
And of course, not forgetting things like quiches, frittatas, soufflés and a whole host of other fabulous dishes, all made with eggs.
Then there's all the ways to prepare fruits and vegetables like sautéing and sweating, wilting and steaming, and baking and roasting.
Just to show a few. And as I mentioned earlier, every cooking method for every ingredient is covered.
Including dried produce such as beans, pasta, noodles and rice, and other grains such as couscous and polenta, and of course all include variations.
And I cover the basic popular recipes using grains,
such as risotto.
Then I cover stocks, syrups and flavourings, all very important components when cooking anything. And I begin with the basic stocks,
such as white and brown stock, master and veal stock, to special stocks such as court bouillon for poaching fish and dashi stock for Asian cooking. Plus how to clarify stock for broths and consommes, and not forgetting sweet stock or syrup for poaching and freezing fruit.
Then I'll show you how to make all the basic soups, such as
purees, creams and bisques, to broths and consommes. And I cover all the sauces, beginning with the mother sauces including bechamel, one of the most used sauces in cooking, to veloutés, espagnole, tomato and mayonnaise, through to independent sauces such as gravy, jus, through to vinaigrette.
And not forgetting sweet sauces such as
caramel, chocolate, citrus and egg custard, just to name a few. And the compound butters, of which the variations are endless and are always ready whenever you need them. There's a basic salsa and pesto you can vary with different produce, and jam and chutney and relish that you can vary according to what's in season. Cakes and biscuits are simple and straightforward, giving you the base recipe and multitudes of variations. Then the frostings and fillings to dress them up. There's also all the fillings that can be used as standalone recipes such as panna cotta, mousse and ganache.
Then there's the batters which are used
to coat food for frying, as well as make pancakes, crepes, bellinis and Yorkshire pudding, not forgetting waffle batter and many more.
And then there's all the various doughs,
such as biscotti, including sweet and savoury variations, refrigerator biscuits, pasta dough, pizza dough and scones. Plus, I also cover bread dough by hand and by machine. I've included a recipe that, when made using different methods, can be used as a base, topping or a crumble, both sweet and savoury. And a basic stuffing that can be varied according to whether it's going into proteins such as turkey or vegetables and fruit. I show you how to make fresh and toasted breadcrumbs from stale bread. Then how to coat food for frying with flour, egg and breadcrumbs or batter.
And although many people nowadays buy their pastry frozen, there are still those who like to make their own from scratch. So I've included all the basic types.
Short crust, puff and choux. And last but not least, some basic measurement and calculation charts, covering how to convert metric and imperial measurements, oven temperatures and equivalent weights and measures. Plus the cooking times of proteins and vegetables.
Thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoy the book and I look forward to coming into your kitchen and cooking soon. I'm Victoria Hanson.